Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Live It Up. This is the show where we explore and discuss how to take your life to that next level and beyond. We cover health, wealth, relationships, and how to create a life you absolutely love. I'm your host and coach, Fletcher Ellingson. Amy will be joining us as we talk about something that much of our country is dealing with right now, the flu. What is it? Is it serious? And how can you avoid it? And if you're one of those people who gets it, then what do you do? Remember, health is the first wealth, so stick around. But before we get to that, I do want to remind you that if you have questions that you would like us to answer on or off the show, you can email them directly to me at fletcher@fletcherellingson.com. And if you feel stuck in an area of your life, whether it's financially or in your health or in your relationships, then get into action, reach out to us. You don't need to suffer. There are answers, there are solutions, and ways to get unstuck and move forward powerfully. All right? So let's get to today's concern. It says, Dear Fletcher, the holidays are here, and it seems just like about everyone I run into is happy about the holidays. The music is happy, everyone has decorations up, people are giving gifts, but to tell you the truth, it's just not that much of a happy time for me. I don't know why exactly. I find the holidays stressful. When we get together for work parties and family parties, there just seem to be the same conversations, talking about the weather or politics or the latest drama. It seems fake or incongruent with why we're supposedly gathering. It's supposed to be celebratory and feel good, but there's usually a bunch of family bickering and pettiness. Honestly, I'd be happy just to skip it. But then my family would be upset with me. Just one more reason for them to be upset and complain. I wish the holidays were fun. I guess I also wish I knew how to act or be different at these gatherings. I usually end up sitting alone watching TV or playing on my phone or with the kids because they're actually having some fun. Any ideas? Thanks. Signed, Scrooge. All right. Mr. Scrooge, thanks for reaching out, because reaching out is a sign of strength, and that means you're strong. I really appreciate your vulnerability, and I want you to know that you're not alone in feeling this way. Seriously, many people worry about getting together in any social setting, whether it's a birthday or an office party. Many people find themselves stressed out, and it's challenging to navigate. So I'm going to suggest a few things that I personally have discovered that make parties and gatherings fun and enjoyable and facilitate connection instead of isolation or loneliness. So number one, get to know people and learn how to direct the conversation. One of the best ways to do this is to simply ask people open-ended questions that require them to focus on something positive in their life or the world. I'll give you an example. You could say, so what's something that's been going well in your life lately? Or what's an accomplishment that you're proud of as you look back at the past year? Or what are you looking forward to creating in the new year? You see, this gets people to share more than just one-word answers. Plus, they're talking about themselves, which most people love to do. We all love to share about ourselves, right? People, you can give them a question and they're off and going. And you're directing their focus to something positive instead of negative. I do this frequently at parties, and then what's cool about it is that I get to learn a lot about other people, and it connects us. Then the second part is to share something that has been going well in your life. It's important to reciprocate. So become a good question asker and become a good sharer. Be a person that shares. And because believe it or not, people are interested in what you're doing too. And that's how we learn things, by sharing. So be willing to share of yourself as well. The second thing we do a lot in our family and our friend gatherings is playing games. We love to play games such as group Pictionary or cards, or charades is a big one that we play in our family, categories, to name just a few. We also play music and we sing. It's a blast and it brings people together. For sure around the holidays where we sing Christmas carols. This year we're doing karaoke, Christmas karaoke or Christmas lip syncing, which is going to be fun. Many people may not want to play a game because they're not used to it, It's just that they're not practiced, right? That we're not practiced at it. But once we start doing this, we almost always have a great time, right? And it'll be the same for your peeps as well. And if you're the one that initiates it, then they're going to be thanking you for the great idea, for making the party so much fun. So let me ask you a question. What kind of party or gathering do you want to have? How do you want to feel about it? Ask yourself these questions before you get to the party so that you can plan accordingly, so you can be proactive. Ask yourself, how do I want to feel? How can I connect with the people that I'm going to be with? What can I share about myself? Now, this may seem very preconceived or pretentious. It's not. This is just you practicing. Really ask yourself these questions, and you can even prepare a few topics that are go-to topics that you can talk about. You know, if you're somebody who sets New Year's goals, then let them know about what you're up to for the new year. Share those goals. And the cool thing about it is that when you share your goals and resolutions, you're likely to inspire somebody else, right? They're gonna see, oh, he's doing that, or he's going to attempt to do that. Cool, I bet I could do that too. So step up and begin creating the holiday gatherings the way you want. It may feel uncomfortable, but that's good, because when we get out of our comfort zone, that's where the magic happens, right? It means you're going to learn something if you're uncomfortable and stretching yourself. And then it'll get easier and easier. And then you'll truly be a source of the holiday spirit. So step up and take it on. You can do this, and I believe in you. Okay, stick around. We're going to be right back to talk with Amy, who will tell us how best to avoid the flu and what to do if you're one of those unlucky ones that actually gets it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Live It Up. We are here with Amy. Hey Amy.
Hello.
Tell them what we're talking about today.
We're talking about influenza.
Influenza.
I wanted to talk about that because we've been seeing so much of it this year so far. So
nasty.
Yeah.
You don't want to get it.
Yeah.
All right, what is it though? Because a lot of people talk about the flu in general terms, but what is it actually?
Yeah, so the term flu is used really broadly. Like people will say, oh, I've got the stomach flu, or I've got, mostly the stomach flu.
Yeah.
So in medicine, we when we say the flu, we mean influenza, which is a specific type of viral infection that causes respiratory symptoms. Very, very, very rarely it causes stomach problems. So when I talk about the flu, I'm talking about influenza, not the stomach flu. And so millions of people get the flu every year. Hundreds of thousands of people are hospitalized. People die of the flu every year. So far in this season, in our state, there have been 5 people that have died from influenza.
Dang.
And they have all been adults. But definitely some years hit pregnant women really hard. Some years seem to hit infants or young children really hard. So it depends on the year, but definitely it's always deadly.
It's a serious thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What are some of the symptoms that we need to look out for?
Yeah, so the symptoms are usually pretty classic, and they come on very quickly. People have a high fever, usually like 100 to 103. You have really bad body aches, headache, and cough. People frequently will report a sore throat and runny nose as well. And so what I usually find is that people feel like they want to die. They feel so sick. And then you go to examine them and there's really nothing wrong. Their throat might be like a tiny bit red, their nose might be running, but otherwise their exam is really normal, like unlike strep throat or mono, which has really significant physical findings that you see on people. The flu really doesn't, but people feel really bad.
Wow. So how do you know if they have it?
By their symptoms. Well, there's a test too, which we'll talk about. But yeah, by symptoms, it's pretty classic. Like if it's the time of year and you're having those symptoms, you probably have the flu.
I have a question about that.
Yes.
So why is it this time of year? Is there a reason for that?
I don't know that they know that, but there's so many viruses in particular that are seasonal.
Oh.
So they just happen. I think the virus just does better that time of year. I don't necessarily know exactly why.
Okay.
Yeah, like in summer, viral meningitis is more common. And obviously this time of year, anytime between like October and April is the flu time of year.
All right, so this may be a silly question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. I mean, do people get the flu in the summer?
Not usually. I mean, it's really unusual to
Like
get the
dormant.
flu. Yeah. I mean, we've definitely had some years that have gone kind of long, like into April. But it'd be unusual to see it in the summer.
But then when
I've never seen it in the summer.
But then when it is around, it like can spread rapidly and easily.
Yeah. Like recently in where I'm working up in Bridgeport, in Brewster now, and Bridgeport had over 100 kids out in their school system. And I know that in Manson, I think it was 100-something kids just in the high school and middle school that were out.
Yeah.
Just in those last couple of weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, is there a way to prevent?
Yeah, so one of the things, once flu season is here, well, really all the time, I try to go by these rules, is that it's when you're out in public, you should avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with your hands. Just don't touch them. Don't touch your face with your hands. Unless you just wash your hands or something, but that's really where how you're going to spread things. I mean, there are sometimes germs in the air, but when you're in the public space and it's wide open, it's probably more likely you're going to touch something. Like airplanes, airports, grocery stores, schools, all of those places, you really need to be careful with germs that are everywhere. And then also making sure you have enough sleep, that you're well hydrated, not drinking too much alcohol, eating healthy, because all of those things allow your immune system to fight off the virus. So if your immune system is kind of suppressed because you've not been sleeping well, or you've been drinking too much, or you're just eating a bunch of sugar, then all of that can impair your body's ability to fight that flu.
Oh man, and that makes so much sense when you think about like all the holidays.
Yeah.
There's all the sugar, there's
drinking. Yep.
and- Oh man, so it really taxes your immune system.
Yeah, it really does. And the other thing is, if you know someone who has a fever, don't be around them. If you know they've had a fever within the last 24 hours, do not go around them. And that's another way to just try to prevent getting the flu or avoid it.
Are we going to talk about that? Like when is it okay to be around? Okay.
We will.
All right.
Well, I'll say right now, like if you've had a fever, you should wait 24 hours before you're around anybody else. And that's 24 hours of no fever without any medicine.
Okay.
It doesn't count if you just took Advil and you don't have a fever. Well, that's because you just took Advil.
So if you are a parent and you have children and they've had this, they should not go to school until...
They've had 24 hours of no fever without any medicine.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. What about the flu shot? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I believe in the flu shot. I get the flu shot for me, and the flu shot does reduce the flu illness usually anywhere between 40 and 60%, like where people maybe wouldn't get sick at all. That up to that number. And that also though depends on how well matched the virus is with the vaccine each year.
Mm-hmm.
But the other benefits from getting the vaccine that have been shown, reduced deaths and ICU admissions from influenza, preventing millions of missed days of work, millions of office visits to the doctor. It also, if you get the flu shot and you have a young, anyone under age 5 or anyone over age 65, then you won't be giving it to someone who's more vulnerable. And it also, in pregnant women, it's really effective. It reduces at least 50% chance of them getting influenza.
Got it. So would you say people that are at the highest risk are the infants, young kids, and elderly?
Mm-hmm. So anyone, kids less than or equal to age 5 or over 65 are the ones that are most at risk of having really serious complications.
And here's another question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So with some illnesses, once you've had it, you're immune to it, but not with the flu because it's just constantly evolving and changing.
It changes every year.
Got
Mm-hmm.
it. And then when they come out with the vaccine, it's kind of like an educated guess as to what they think it's going to be.
So the flu shot is made every year. It's unique every year, and they're always changing. But so the thing is, because it takes a long time, many months, to mass produce flu vaccines, you need millions and millions of them, they start making the vaccine, they start picking it out like in February. And because then the vaccine is usually grown in chicken eggs. And so it takes all this time to grow the vaccine.
Oh my gosh.
So they figured out what it's likely going to be in February by doing sampling, which I don't really know much about. And then in order to have it mass produced by the time it's flu season. And then when you do get a flu vaccine, it takes up to 2 weeks to have a good immune response to it. So if everyone's getting sick and you get the flu shot, it might help you as long as you haven't already been exposed. But it does take a little while for your body to have that good immune response. This year, we've seen almost exclusively influenza type B, which is there's an A and a B, are the main types, or a few other ones. But we've seen a lot of B this year. That's the only type of I've seen up in Brewster and Bridgeport, and I know in Chelan there's been a lot of B, and also in Wenatchee.
So when you get the flu shot, is it like this is going to treat the A or the B or
yeah,
both,
and
or?
H1N1. Yeah, it has multiple strains in there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if people don't get the flu shot,
they have no protection except for their own. I mean, and so, say you're in between the ages of, say 12 and 60 and you're healthy, it shouldn't be deadly for you. It just would be highly uncomfortable and inconvenient because people are frequently sick for 5 to 7 days, like even with a fever for 5 days. So you're missing a solid week of work, maybe 10 days even, depending on what you do.
And if you do get it, you can still get the flu.
Yeah.
But the effects of it might just be diminished.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that one in a minute. I think we should go to commercial break.
All right, let's take a commercial break. We'll be back shortly. Hey everybody, welcome back to Live It Up. We're talking with Amy and we're talking about the flu. Yikes. So before we left off, we covered a bunch of stuff, but let's get to antibodies. What are they? And can you get the flu from the flu shot?
Right, because you hear that one a lot.
Yes.
So antibodies, as we talk about again and again, or I talk about, that the body is such a sophisticated machine. And as we go through life, our bodies are exposed to billions of germs, billions of them.
Yeah.
And as your body sees a new germ, it quickly makes these sickness-fighting cells to fight the current threat of the germ it just saw, but it also creates a blueprint of that germ so that anytime in the future, if exposed to that germ, your body is able to fight off the infection quickly. So those are called antibodies. So your body is able to remember. That's how vaccines work. So basically, like for all those vaccines we ever talk about, your body is being delivered a germ via a shot, and then it's like, oh, okay, I'll know what this is, so then when I'm exposed to this, I can fight it off. And
which, by the way, is amazing.
It's really amazing. So, and you cannot get the flu from the flu shot because it is a killed virus. There is absolutely no living flu in a flu shot. However, it could make you feel a little achy for a few days because your body is mounting an immune response to the vaccine.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Some people want to know, can you get the seasonal flu even though they got a flu vaccine this year?
Right. So it's definitely possible to get sick with the flu even if you've been vaccinated. And then, so the reasons why are, number one, you could have been exposed to the virus within that 2-week period of time before the shot started working. Even like in our household, one of our children got the shot, but she probably was exposed within like 2 days of getting the shot, and so got sick. And although maybe not as sick as she could have been. So that's one way. The other thing is that you might be exposed to a flu virus that was not included in this year's flu shot, or it could be that it wasn't covered. And by the way, when someone says that they got the flu even though they didn't have the flu shot, you can't really know it's the flu unless you got a flu test, which is a nasal swab, which you can do. You can know about that.
Got it.
And then the other thing is that sometimes some people with the flu with the flu vaccine, their immune system just doesn't mount a good enough response. So that's why actually people over age 65 get a higher dose shot than other people do because their immune system just isn't as responsive. So you need, if your immune system didn't create a good enough antibody response, then you're also not going to be protected.
Got it.
So those would all be reasons. You definitely can get the flu. I mean, hopefully you get it way milder if you got a flu shot, but not everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
What should somebody do if they think or suspect that they might have influenza?
So if you're young and healthy and you're doing okay, aside from feeling, really not well, you should really just try to stay home, because anytime you leave the house, you're going to spread whatever you have, most likely. And you really want to not spread it to your family either. So you want to wash your hands a lot. You want to limit the contact with other people in your household. especially during those days you have the fever or those 24 hours since the last fever. And this literally means to even kind of quarantine yourself in your home.
I was just going to ask that, yeah.
Yeah, like stay in a room, use one bathroom, then you're hopefully not getting other people sick. If there's someone who's less than 5, over age 65, or they have immune, heart, or lung problems, you definitely should seek medical attention to be evaluated to make sure that you're not getting too sick. There also are medications that help fight the virus. If you take those within 48 hours of your first symptoms, those can help. They're not any kind of miraculous medication, but they can help reduce the number of days that you're sick. So,
should they go to see a physician? I mean, if they suspect they have it, I mean, do we need confirmation of it? Or
Not really. I mean, if for some reason you're within that 48-hour window, you really want to take the medication, well, then you should go and get tested. But really, if you're in that kind of healthy, young age range, it's best just to stay home and not spread it.
Okay, and maybe you already just addressed this, but let's say you do suspect you have it. You run down and get a flu shot. Is that going to be effective or not?
No, not if you think you have symptoms right now.
Okay.
Right.
So it's too late.
Yeah.
You missed that window.
Yeah.
Okay. So what should you do if you're a family member or someone with the flu?
Yeah, so it is important to try to stay healthy if you're a family member of someone who has that. And like I said, putting someone in a room where you're trying not to go in there, you might even wearing a mask is going to be more helpful because then that helps catch any droplets. Because the way that the flu is spread is when you cough or sneeze or in saliva or mucus, there's germs in there. So either cough and sneeze, it goes into the air, or if you're touching something, it goes onto the surfaces you're touching. So just being aware of how that's spread. You wearing a mask if you're not sick doesn't help that much because those masks aren't like really actually covering 100% of your mouth, It's more for the other people to wear a mask so they're not coughing droplets. And then if you have chronic lung, heart, or immune systems, immune issues, you really shouldn't be around those people. Or there are medication, the same viral medication, antiviral medication, you can take to prevent getting the flu. So if you're a high-risk person in a household where someone's been diagnosed, you actually can take the same medication to help prevent you from getting the flu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that about covers it. Did we miss anything?
I think the only thing we didn't really talk about was the testing. So people are familiar with strep testing where it's in the back of your throat with that cotton swab thing and it makes you gag. Nobody likes that. The flu test I think is a little bit better tolerated. It sounds kind of creepy though when you describe it, but it's a Q-tip, a skinny Q-tip, and actually goes in your nose. Your nose communicates with the back of your throat. Like if you go straight back, which many people maybe don't know, but so you put the Q-tip kind of far back into the nose, straight back toward the throat, and that's how you do both sides, and that's how you do a flu swab. There are pretty good flu tests out there that really, if they're positive, it's positive. If they're negative, you don't have the flu. So
how quickly do you get those results?
15 minutes,
oh, okay.
10 minutes, yeah. So it's just done in the office. We're doing a lot of them, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So if you do suspect and
you're going to a clinic, don't touch anything, preferably wear a mask the whole time you're in that building, and then you can get treated. And obviously, if you think you're having any issues, the biggest complication is pneumonia usually, or respiratory distress or issues. So if anyone who has influenza, is having a hard time breathing, then they need to be seen right away, taken to the emergency room. Yeah.
Okay. All right, I think that wraps it up for us.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amy. All right, so wash your hands a lot during this time of year and take care of yourself. Now it's time to get out there, be a source of kindness, be a source of contribution. You have something that this world needs, and we believe in you.